Mm. Let me ask you something. Why do you think people have so much trouble in creating money? Obviously, they think of it as some sort of thing that's impossible to get it.
Well, Gary, we've been taught by our culture that money is the root of all evil.
Right.
I was told this when I was 18 years old. Money is the root of all evil. So, and we're also taught not to accept money for anything good that we do. Just to give you an example, I remember somebody drove me to the airport. I needed a ride, and somebody drove me to the airport. And I said, "Well, that's very sweet. Let me pay for the gas. Let me give you a couple of dollars for gas." And they said, "Oh, no, I couldn't accept." See, so I learned that, you're not supposed to accept money if you do something that's nice. You can only accept money if you do something that's not nice, called work. And it's even better if what you work at is something you hate. If you really hate your work, now you should earn a lot of money, because you deserve to earn a lot of money, because you have to do something you don't like in order to get it. So many people have a hard time manifesting money because they insist on doing something they like. They would like to do something that they love to do in their life, but our culture has taught them that if you love what you're doing, it's going to be difficult to earn money. Only a very few, maybe if you're one of the 1,000 people that could be a movie star, or one of 1,000 people that could be a first baseman for the New York Yankees. There are rare instances, but those are very, very unusual situations. Maybe if you love to sing, you might earn a penny or two singing now and then, but the average person cannot do what they love to do and receive money for it. You got to study, go to school, or do something you don't like to do. And that's why it's hard for people to manifest money in their life, because the culture tells them that they can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't do something you love and earn money doing it. You got to sacrifice one or the other.
Let me ask you, I've heard you speak about this before. It's about the idea of the fact that when you need something, you fear it, and the idea that you have to stay within spirit in order to do that, because if you're an ego, you're going to have this fear and you're going to have needs. Can you sort of talk a little bit about that?
I don't think that I've said that if you need something, you're going to fear it. I think what I've said is, if you need something, what you fear is that if you get it, you're going to lose it.
Right.
Or that you fear that you may not get it. You don't fear what you need, but you fear that you may not get what you need.
So the answer is to stay in spirit, stay within that.
I think the answer is to not need anything. To decide that you don't need anything.
Yeah.
Now, Gary, that's not something that I say lightly. I can say that having lived on the sidewalk for a year. I was what's commonly called a street person.
Yeah.
And so I learned, I had one pair of shoes, one pair of jeans, 2 shirts, and that was it. That was the sum total of my earthly possessions. So I learned, having done that for a year, and I won't lie to you, there were some times when I was happy. I had happy days. And I thought, wow, this is interesting. It turns out that I really don't need the big car or the nice house or the relationship or whatever I thought I needed to be happy. It turns out that my list of needs can be very, very small, minimal. And then I learned in my conversations with God that need is an illusion. It's one of the 10 illusions of humans. It's the first illusion of humans, that there's something that we need in order to be happy. There's something that we need in order to get into heaven. There's something that we need in order to be, do, and have what we wish to be, do, and have. But what I've learned in my life is, and I've learned it from experience, I can be, do, and have what I choose to be, do, and have without needing anyone or anything in order to be, do, and have what I wish to experience. So I've erased the word need from the blackboard of my life. But yes, most people who feel they need something, I just need a little more time. I just need a little more money. I just need a little more companionship in my life. I just need a little more. I need a little. Most people have a fear that they're not going to get what they need, which of course pushes it away from them.
What
Because
about
the
in a situation that you're an author and you obviously, let's say you're a beginning author and you, I know that there are self-publishing ways, but before it was you needed to have someone that's going to publish your book to,
only if you needed to have it published.
Hmm,
But what if you didn't need to have it published?
right?
See, let me. I'll use myself as an example. I did not start off by writing a book. I was simply having a personal experience.
Yeah,
But in my conversations with God, I was told, you will make of this one day a book, and it will be accessed by many people.
yeah,
I didn't have a need for the book to be published, but I did have a curiosity about it. I thought, well, we'll see about that. That's an interesting prediction. Now I can test God because God said in this conversation, you're going to make this a book and it will be read by many people. I thought, well, that will be, well, that's my way to test, because most of what I was being told in my conversation with God was theoretical or conceptual in nature. Could be, could not be, who would know? Who would know? Theory, just theory. But here was a statement of fact. You're going to make this a book and it's going to be accessed by many people. So I thought, now I gotcha. Now I gotcha. Now I can test whether this is really you talking to me. Because if it is you, there's no chance, not one in a million, no publisher. I mean, I could self-publish, but I didn't want to self-publish because that wasn't the point. If a actual legitimate publisher was going to put this book out, it'd be one chance in a million. I could just see the publisher saying to his staff, hold the presses, stop everything. I got a guy here who's talking to God. It's not going to happen. Nobody's going to do it. But in fact, the first publishing house I sent it to published the book. It was a small publishing house. It wasn't like Random House or Simon and Schuster, but it was a small independent publisher. But still, they put out 8 or 10 books a year, and they agreed to publish the book.
Hmm.
And, it sold, not bragging, just saying, several million copies. And wound up, as you pointed out, being translated into 37 languages.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, oh, I see. There's more here than meets the eye. But to answer your first question, Gary, I didn't need to have the book published. I simply had a curiosity to see if it would be. So I've gone through all of my life since then, since I made that change in my life, not all of my younger life, but since I turned 50, I decided, you know what? I don't need to have the book published. I don't need to have you tell me this is a great interview. I don't need to have your audience tell me, well, I'm really glad I heard that interview. This guy is incredible. I don't need anything from anyone. I don't need any circumstance in life to occur. I don't even need myself to remain healthy. I had open heart surgery
Yeah.
5 years ago, a quintuple bypass, not a triple bypass, not a quadruple bypass, a quintuple bypass. And, and I was okay with it, because, I said I was very philosophical about it. I thought to myself as I was lying there on the gurney, they're getting ready to put the needle in and put me under. I remember, and the doctor said to me, you seem inordinately calm. Are you okay? I said, you know what, doc? I'm more than okay, because only one of two things can happen here. Either I survive the operation and I'm a whole lot better, or I die on the operating table. Either way, it's okay with me.
Yeah.
Because I know where I'm going.
Right.
I know I know where my soul will be if I don't survive the operation. So I'm okay either way. And I've learned, Gary, to use that as my motto in life. It's a little poem that I tell myself. I'm okay every day, either way.
I guess many of us have this idea that we need something because we haven't accomplished much. We think that way. But I guess the true idea is just to find out what you love and just be that and just be grateful for what you're doing. And then all of that eventually comes out, if that was what's meant to be, right?
I think that people have a false sense of what they came here to accomplish. That's the challenge as I observe it. As I observe it in my own life prior to my conversation with God, and as I observe it in the lives of others in the world, I see that most people have no idea what they're doing. And I don't mean that pejoratively, I don't mean that as an insult. It's just a simple observation. Most people have no idea what they're doing. That is, if you say to them, what are you doing here? They would say, well, I don't know, I'm trying to survive, I guess. I want to get a job. I want to live as good a life as I can. But they consider the question really a strange question to ask, because most people think that what they're doing here is just trying to get by, trying to survive until they die, lead a happily decent life, maybe not hurt anybody in the process, and get through the game. And when the game is over, the game is over. But I'm here to suggest that there's more going on here than meets the eye, as I said a minute ago. There's more to this process called life than that. And most people don't understand what we came here to do. But I have been told that we came here to experience and to express, to demonstrate and to fulfill who we really are in a process that we would call, to use a simple word, evolution. That we came to the physical realm from the spiritual realm in order to evolve. Because in the physical realm, we have the contextual field, we have an environment within which we can evolve, because in the physical realm, we surround ourselves with the perfect tools, allowing ourselves to evolve. Those tools, one last sentence, those tools don't exist in the spiritual realm, because in the spiritual realm, we already are experiencing exactly who we are. But we want to have that experience in physical form and not just as a concept.
Right. And I guess that in this contextual area, this place, we are also having experience and interactions with others that provide just the opposite of what we believe, so that we learn from that. Is that essentially what it is through this interaction?
That's my understanding. Yeah. We are in what I call the field of opposites.
Right.
And we can know, see, here's the deal, Gary, as I understand it. We come into the physical realm because we want to know experientially through the expression of it who we really are. We don't want to just know it conceptually. To give you an example, I can conceive of myself as Neale the generous, or Neale the compassionate, or for that matter, Neale the patient. I can think of myself as patient, generous, and compassionate. But just knowing that I am that is not enough for my soul. My soul wants to experience what it's like to actually express myself as that. So I would have to place myself in an environment where such expressions are possible. And in order for me to express generosity, I would have to move into a situation where someone was desperately in need of someone else being generous. Then I could express my generosity. Or to put it in simple terms, if I wanted to, I'm just going to use a metaphor now. To use a metaphor, if I say I want to be the light, I don't want to just know myself as the light. I want to be able to experience shining the light. If I want that experience, I would have to call forth the darkness, because I can't experience myself shining the light if there's nothing else but light around me. Then I would be like a candle in the sun. I'd be there all right with a million cajillion other candles, but I couldn't experience myself as being the light if I'm amidst the light. Therefore, I will not only place myself in the darkness, I will literally call forth the darkness. I'll bring it into my experience in order that I might be the light. Now, only spiritual masters demonstrate that. I understand it, but I'm not sure that I demonstrate it. I'm not a spiritual master. But spiritual masters have actually demonstrated what I've just said. In fact, one of the great spiritual masters actually told us how we can act when we encounter that which we are not. How we can act when we encounter the opposite of what we wish to be. He said, quite simply, bless. Yes. Bless your enemies and pray for those who persecute you and do good to those who would do you harm. And if a man slaps you on the right cheek, turn and offer him your left. And if a man steals your coat, give him your shirt as well. And when a man demands that you walk 1 mile with him, go with him 20.
I guess
And
that,
raise not your fist to heaven, and curse the darkness not, but be a light unto the darkness, that you might know who you really are, and that all those whose lives you touch might know who they really are as well.
I guess even human experiences like what we go through of that adversity, that also plays a part in that learning thing too, obviously.
It's not even learning. We have nothing to learn, but it does
Right.
play a part in our process. I was
Yeah.
told by God, Neale, life is not a school. I know everyone wants you to believe life is a school.
Right.
Life is not a school. Everything you needed to know, everything you would ever need to understand has been implanted in you. You already know it. You simply don't remember that you know it.
Yeah.
So, because you granted yourself what I would call selective amnesia. You've forgotten everything that you know, but it's already implanted within you. So life is not a school, and it's not about learning anything, but it is about remembering who you really are. And I said to God, really, come on, that's pretty hard to believe. In fact, it's almost too good to be true that I already know everything that I need to know. And God said to me, Neale, if God can't be too good to be true, who can?
Mm.
And then he gave me a wonderful example. He said, Neale, is there a tree outside your window? I said, yeah, actually, there's a window right here. There's a beautiful oak tree right outside the window. She said, how tall is the tree? I said, I don't know, 15, 20 feet tall. And God said, what has the tree learned in order to become 20-foot tall oak? I said, well, it hasn't learned anything. It just grew into itself. God said, are you telling me, Neale, are you telling me that everything that the tree needed to know to grow into a big oak tree was implanted in the seed when it was no bigger than your fingernail? I said, yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. Everything was encoded in the seed when it was no bigger than my fingernail. And God said to me, sweetheart, if I so loved the tree, would I not all the more love you?
Mm. Yeah.
It's so simple, Gary. It's so simple.